Find somewhere comfortable, somewhere you can let your weight fall. You don't need to follow any of this closely. You don't need to hold on to anything or remember anything at all. Just let the words come to you, the way sounds come through a window at night, present, and then passing, and then gone. We are in no hurry here. If you're lying down, let your hands rest where they want to rest. If your eyes are still open, that's all right. They'll find their way closed in their own time. There's nothing you need to do tonight except exist here in this soft and quiet space for a little while. And if today was hard, if the hours felt long and the weight of things felt heavier than you expected, then this is for you especially. Whatever you've been carrying, you don't need to carry it right now. Not here. Not tonight. We're going to spend some time together in the gentle world of the overthinking mind. Not to fix it, not to judge it, just to understand it quietly the way you'd come to understand an old and complicated friend. Because that's what it is in a way. Something that was always trying to help, something that just doesn't quite know when to stop. So settle. Let the room hold you. And whenever you're ready, or even if you're not, we begin. There is a word in Latin, old and patient and rather beautiful, that means to chew over again. Ruminare. It's the word the Romans used for what cattle do, that slow, deliberate circular motion of the jaw, processing the same mouthful of grass again and again, extracting everything there is to extract from it before letting it go. Somewhere along the way, the word found its way into the language of the mind. Rumination. The act of returning again and again to the same thought, the same moment, the same conversation, the same mistake, the same worry that hasn't resolved itself and perhaps never will. Going over it the way you'd go over a sentence. You'd said wrong, looking for the place where it went wrong, hoping that if you examine it closely enough, something will finally shift. You probably know this feeling. Most people do, though many carry it quietly, assuming it is a flaw particular to themselves, that something is broken or weak or insufficient in the architecture of their own mind. But it isn't that. It is something far more human than that, and far more ancient, and tonight we are going to sit with it together and see it a little more clearly. Because here is the thing about the overthinking mind. It is not your enemy. It is not a malfunction. It is, in its own exhausting way, a form of care. It is a part of you that believes, deeply and sincerely, that if it keeps working, keeps turning the problem over, keeps examining it from every angle, it will eventually find the answer that makes everything safe, that makes everything right. It just doesn't always know when the problem is, one that cannot be solved by thinking. And so it keeps going, long after you've turned off the lights, long after the room has gone dark and the house has gone quiet, long after every reasonable part of you is ready to rest. That is what we are here to understand tonight. Not to silence the mind, that isn't really possible, and it isn't what's needed, but to understand why it does, what it looks like inside the brain, what it does to the body, and why sleep, of all things, is both what it steals from you and what it most needs you to have. The word entered psychology properly in 1991. A researcher named Susan Nolan, Hoaxema, published a paper that would quietly reshape the way scientists thought about depression and the mind's relationship with itself. Her observation was this: when people felt low, they responded in broadly one of two ways. Some distracted themselves, reached for something outside the loop of thought, moved their attention elsewhere, let the feeling pass the way weather passes. Others turned inward. They dwelt. They examined the feeling from every angle, asked themselves why they felt it, what it meant, what it said about them, what it might lead to. And those who dwelt, she found, stayed depressed longer. Not because they were weaker, but because the act of dwelling, of returning and returning and returning to the same dark room, kept the lights from coming on. She called this ruminative thinking, and what she had named was something that millions of people recognized instantly, even if they had never had a word for it before. It is worth being clear about what rumination actually is, because it is often confused with something else. It is often confused with worry, or with reflection, or with careful thinking, and it shares qualities with all of those things. But it has a particular quality that sets it apart. Reflection is when you look back at something in order to understand it and move forward. Worry is when you look ahead at something uncertain and try to prepare. Rumination is when you look at something, past or future, it doesn't matter, and you keep looking and looking and looking and looking without arriving anywhere new. It is thought that circles rather than travels. It is a wheel that spins without moving the vehicle forward. And the cruelest part of it, the part that makes it so difficult to simply stop, is that it doesn't feel circular while you're inside it. It feels like progress. It feels like the answer is just one more turn of thought away. The brain uses the same neural machinery for rumination that it uses for genuine problem solving, and so it is genuinely difficult to tell the difference from the inside. You feel like you are working on something. You feel like you are being responsible, thorough, conscientious. You feel, in a strange way, that to stop thinking would be to give up. And so you don't stop. Nolan Hoxmer spent decades refining her understanding of this. She noticed that rumination showed up most often in people who were already struggling with depression, with anxiety, with grief, with the ordinary weight of a life that had become too heavy. She noticed that it appeared more frequently in women than in men. Something researchers have linked to differences in how emotional experience is processed and expressed. She noticed that it was most intense in younger adults, in those still working out who they are and what the world expects of them, and that it tended to soften, not disappear, but soften. In older age, as if the long years brought with them a quieter relationship with uncertainty. But it is not a condition. It is not a diagnosis. It is a pattern, a habit of mind so deeply worn into the landscape of thought that it becomes, for many people, simply the default. The thing the mind does when it is left alone in the dark. And understanding that it is a pattern and not a sentence is the first soft step towards something gentler. If you could look inside a ruminative mind, and in a sense scientists now can, using imaging technology that maps the living brain in real time, you would see something both fascinating and rather moving. You would see a brain that is trying, genuinely, effortfully trying. There is a network of regions in the brain that researchers call the default mode network. It is not a single structure, but a constellation of areas spread across the inner folds of the brain, connected by long pathways of communication. And it has a particular and interesting property. It becomes most active, not when you are focused on a task, not when you are solving a problem or reading a sentence or listening to music, but when you are doing nothing in particular. When your mind is at rest, or turning inward, or wandering through memory and imagination and the quiet territory of self-reflection. It is the network of the daydreaming mind. The network that hums to life when you stare out of a window, or lie in bed in the dark, or find yourself somewhere between waking and sleep. And it is, in a sense, where the self lives. Where you process who you are, where you've been, what things mean to you. In a ruminative mind, this network doesn't quite rest the way it should. It remains highly active, returning again and again to the same self-referential themes. And it develops something that researchers describe as hyperconnectivity with another region of the brain, the amygdala, a small, almond-shaped structure deep in the brain's interior that processes emotion, particularly the kind of emotion that carries a sense of threat or significance or urgency. In a 2015 study published in Biological Psychiatry, researchers observed this hyperconnectivity directly. The default mode network and the amygdala in people prone to rumination were communicating more readily and more intensely than in those who didn't ruminate as much. The signal passing between them was stronger, and the result of that stronger signal was a kind of feedback loop. Thought generating emotion, emotion amplifying thought, thought generating more emotion. That is very difficult to simply decide to exit. There is also a region called the anterior cingulate cortex, a part of the brain involved in noticing when thinking has become unproductive and redirecting attention elsewhere. In people who ruminate chronically, this region tends to be quieter than it should be. Studies have found reduced grey matter volume there and weaker connections between it and the prefrontal cortex, which handles the more deliberate analytical work of the mind. In a healthy brain, the anterior cingulate cortex acts something like a gentle monitor, noticing when the mind has gone in circles and nudging it gently towards something else. In the ruminative brain, that monitor is turned down low, and the loop is allowed to run. What this means in practice is something you may recognize very well. The sense that you can see, somewhere at the back of your mind, that the thoughts are going nowhere. That you've had this same thought already, many times, tonight and on other nights. That nothing is being resolved. And yet something keeps pulling you back. Something keeps insisting that this time, maybe, if you think it through just once more, the answer will come. There is also something worth knowing about the language of rumination. A study from 2023, led by researchers working with Chungwan Wu at the Institute for Basic Science, found that the default mode network during rumination connects particularly strongly with a region called the left inferior frontal gyrus, a part of the brain closely associated with language and verbal processing. This suggests that rumination, for many people, is fundamentally a verbal experience. It is thought in words. It is an inner monologue that keeps going, keeps narrating, keeps forming sentences about things that happened or might happen, long after the day has ended and the body has asked for silence. Which may explain why it is so loud in the dark. In the daytime, there are other words, conversations, tasks, the noise of the world, to compete with it. At night, when everything else has gone quiet, the inner voice has the room to itself. The mind and the body are not separate things, however much it can feel that way. What happens in one always, eventually, finds its way into the other, and the overthinking mind, the one that keeps running long after it should have rested, does something to the body that is worth understanding gently, not to frighten you, but because understanding it can bring a kind of compassion for yourself that is harder to find in the dark. When the brain perceives a threat, any threat, whether it is a line in the grass or an email you haven't replied to, or a conversation that went wrong 3 weeks ago, it activates a response. A cascade of signals move through the body, preparing it to act. The heart rate rises a little, muscles tighten almost imperceptibly, certain hormones are released, most notably cortisol, which is sometimes called the stress hormone, though it is really just the body's way of saying something important is happening, stay alert. This is a beautiful and ancient system. It kept your ancestors alive. It is not a flaw. But it was designed for threats that resolve, a predator that either catches you or doesn't. a danger that either passes or doesn't. It was not designed for the kind of threat that rumination creates. A threat that never quite arrives and never quite goes away, that exists only in the mind's eye, that can be turned over indefinitely without ever reaching a conclusion. When rumination keeps the stress response gently but persistently activated, not at full intensity but at a low, continuous hum, cortisol levels remain elevated beyond what any single stressor would produce. And elevated cortisol, sustained over time, has consequences that move through the body in slow and quiet ways. It increases the production of molecules called pro-inflammatory cytokines. Interleukin-6, tumor necrosis factor. Alpha, names that don't need to be remembered, only understood in their general shape, which is this. They are the body's inflammatory signals, the chemical language of a system that believes it is under ongoing siege. Chronic inflammation of this kind is now understood to be connected to a wide range of physical difficulties, from disrupted sleep to lowered immune function to the kind of persistent, low-grade physical discomfort that is hard to locate precisely but impossible to ignore. There is even research suggesting that rumination was the single strongest psychological predictor of pain experienced by patients immediately after surgery. Not anxiety, not mood, but the specific habit of returning again and again to distressing thoughts. And there is something else. This inflammation doesn't stay in the body. It circles back to the brain. Researchers have found that the inflammatory state created by chronic rumination can affect the metabolism of neurotransmitters, the chemical messengers that regulate mood and sleep, and the capacity to feel well. So the loop tightens. Inflammation makes it harder to step out of the ruminative loop. The body and the mind hold each other in a pattern that neither one knows how to break alone. It sounds heavy, described like that. And it is. But there is something important in the fact that this is a loop and not a sentence. Loops can be entered at any point. And they can, with the right kind of gentle interference, begin to slow. There is also something worth holding for a moment, something that researchers at the University of Texas at Austin found in a study published in 2024. They were looking at the relationship between sleep and rumination in older adults, and they found something that surprised them. They expected that objective sleep quality, the actual measurable duration and depth of sleep recorded by devices, would be the strongest predictor of how much people ruminated the following day. Was how people felt about their sleep, their perception of the quality of what they'd experienced. This is a gentle and rather hopeful finding if you sit with it for a moment, because it suggests that the story you tell yourself about your rest matters enormously. Not that you can simply decide to feel rested when you aren't. That would be too simple and not quite honest, but that the mind's relationship with sleep is not purely mechanical. It is shaped by meaning, by expectation, by the quiet internal narrative you carry into the night. There is a particular cruelty to the way rumination and sleep interact. Each one undermines the other. And the most exhausting thing about it is that you already know this. You feel it, lying here, which can itself become another thing to ruminate about. Sleep is not passive. It is one of the most active and purposeful things the brain does. During the night, particularly during the stages of deep and dreaming sleep, the brain is engaged in something that looks, from the outside, like rest, but is in reality a kind of quiet and essential housekeeping. Memories are sorted and stored, emotions are processed, held up to a gentler light stripped of some of their urgency, filed away with a little more distance than they had the day before. The body repairs itself. The immune system strengthens. The stress hormones that accumulated during the day begin, slowly, to subside. REM sleep, the dreaming stage, the one that comes in longer stretches as the night deepens, seems to be particularly important for this emotional processing. Researchers now understand that REM sleep may play a role in something like emotional digestion, taking the raw, charged material of the day's experience and doing something with it, metabolizing it, so that when you wake, you are not quite as close to it as you were when you closed your eyes. But rumination interferes with this process at the very point of entry. To fall asleep, the brain needs to downshift. The alert, analytical, language-generating systems need to quiet. The default mode network, which had been running all day, needs to release its grip on the narrative of the self and allow the mind to drift into something less structured, less verbal, less insistently focused. And it is precisely this release that rumination prevents. The thoughts keep coming. The inner voice keeps forming sentences. The amygdala keeps generating the emotional charge that makes the thoughts feel important, feel unfinished, feel like something that cannot safely be set aside. And so the mind hovers, caught between wakefulness and sleep, unable to fully enter either. You may recognize this as the feeling of lying in bed for what feels like a very long time, not quite awake and not quite asleep, thoughts arriving unbidden and circling slowly like something that can't find a place to land. It is not a failure of will. It is not weakness. It is the brain's own systems working at cross purposes, one part trying to rest, another part convinced that rest is not yet safe. And when sleep finally comes, it may be lighter than it should be. Less restorative. The deeper stages, the ones that do the most repair, may be shortened or fragmented. And in the morning, the body and the mind both carry the weight of that. The tiredness is real. The reduced capacity to regulate emotion is real. And both of those things, the tiredness and the emotional rawness, make rumination more likely the following day. The loop completes itself. Rumination disturbs sleep. Disturbed sleep increases the conditions that make rumination more likely. And so it goes, quietly and persistently, in the lives of so many people who lie awake in the dark, wondering why they cannot simply rest. It is not a character flaw. It is not evidence that something is fundamentally wrong with you. It is a pattern, one that has its roots in biology and in the brain's own ancient architecture, one that has been studied and named and mapped, and, crucially, one that can be gently, patiently interrupted. There is something almost tender in the thought of all the people across all the years who have lain awake in the dark with the same circling thoughts, feeling alone in it, not knowing that this particular struggle has a name, has a shape, has been held and examined by careful and compassionate minds who wanted to understand it. You are not the only one. You have never been the only one. And the mind that keeps you awake, that restless, searching, endlessly working mind, it is not broken. It is just tired. It has been working very hard for a very long time. It is doing what it learned to do, what it was shaped to do, what it genuinely believes is keeping you safe. What it needs, more than anything, is not to be fought. It needs to be gently, gradually, given permission to rest. That is what the next part of this evening is for. In a moment, a guided meditation will begin, something designed specifically for the overthinking mind, not to silence it, not to demand stillness from it, but to offer it something softer than the loop it's been running, a way through rather than a way out. A gentle hand extended in the dark. For now, just rest here. Let everything you've heard settle wherever it wants to settle. You don't need to do anything with it. You don't need to understand it fully or hold it in any particular way. The night is patient, and so are we. Welcome back. You made it here again. And that matters, even if part of you is still turning something over, still carrying a little of the day with you into this quiet space. That is okay. You do not have to arrive here empty. You do not have to have already let go. You only have to be here, lying down, with your eyes closed or softly open, and let this voice be something gentle to rest against for a little while. The thinking mind brought you here. Even that restless, spinning part of you that never quite stops. It found its way to stillness once before, and it is finding its way again tonight. So let it be here too. Let all of you be here. You might notice the thoughts are still moving. That is fine. You are not trying to stop them. You are not fighting anything tonight. You are simply lying down and breathing and letting something softer begin to happen on its own. The overthinking mind has been working so hard. It has been turning things over, examining edges, replaying moments, reaching ahead into tomorrow. It has been doing what it knows how to do. And tonight, very gently, you are going to give it permission to rest. Not to solve anything. Not to finish anything. Just to rest. Let yourself feel the surface beneath you right now. The weight of your body settling into wherever you are lying. The mattress or the cushion or the floor holding you completely. You do not have to hold yourself up. You have not had to hold yourself up this whole time. The surface has always been there, steady, patient, waiting for you to trust it a little more. Let your body be heavy. Let yourself be held. If you shifted or adjusted, that is fine. Find whatever feels most comfortable, most natural, and then let yourself begin to be still. Not rigid. Not perfect. Just softly still. Like something that has been moving all day and is finally allowed to stop. Take a slow breath in through your nose now, easy and unhurried. And breathe out, long and slow, through your mouth. Kiss. Just one like that, to begin. And then let your breathing return to its own natural rhythm. You do not have to control it from here. Your body knows how to breathe. It has been breathing your whole life without your help. Let it do what it already knows how to do. Notice the breath just as it is. Not deep, not shallow. Not forced, not held. Just breathing, in and out. A natural quiet tide. If a thought surfaces, and it might, you do not need to follow it. You do not need to push it away either. You can simply notice it the way you might notice a cloud moving across an evening sky. It is there, and then it drifts. And the sky behind it is still open, still quiet, still there. That open sky is your mind at rest. It is always there. Even when the clouds are thick. Let the breath be your anchor right now. Not something to grip. Just something to return to, gently whenever you feel yourself drifting toward the thoughts. A soft point of return. The feeling of air moving in. The feeling of the body releasing on the out-breath. Here I'm. Tings and out. Your exhale might be growing just a little longer now. Not because you are making it longer, but because your body is beginning to relax and the breath naturally softens when the body feels safe. You are safe here. Nothing is required of you right now. Nowhere to be, nothing to decide, nothing to fix or figure out. Just this breath. Just this moment. Just you. Resting. Now let your awareness travel slowly upward to the very top of your head. The crown of your head. The scalp. You might notice a little tension there, a tightness that has been sitting quietly all day without you realizing. Bring your attention there now, softly, and just breathe into it. You do not have to do anything. Awareness itself is enough. Let the scalp soften. Let the skin there loosen just a little, as if someone very gently placed a warm hand on the top of your head and all the tension there simply began to melt downward and away. Let that softening move to your forehead now. The forehead often carries so much. The effort of concentration, the furrow of worry, the slight pulling together that happens when the mind is working hard. Let it go now. Let the forehead become smooth and wide and open, like still water, like a field after rain. No effort there. Holding. And your eyebrows. Let them rest apart. Let the space between them widen. That small space holds so much tension for the thinking mind. Let it release. Completely. Your eyes. If they are closed, let them be softly closed, not pressed shut. Just resting, the eyelids heavy and still. The eyes themselves settling back in their sockets, releasing all effort. There is nothing they need to see right now. There is nothing to watch for. They can be completely at rest. Let that softening move down through your cheeks, the muscles of the face that hold expression all day long. Smiling, concentrating, reacting, composing. Let them all release now. Let your face be completely neutral, completely soft, like a face in deep sleep, because you are moving toward that now. Gently, steadily moving toward that. Your jaw. This is somewhere the overthinking mind loves to hide. A clenching, a holding, a tightening that happens without you noticing. Let the jaw soften now. Let the back teeth part just slightly. Let the tongue rest gently on the floor of the mouth. Let the whole jaw feel heavy and loose. Feel heavy and loose. And your lips. Gone. Slightly parted or gently closed. Just resting. Your ears. The skin around them. The muscles behind them. Guffening. Releasing. The sounds around you right now, whatever they are, can simply be part of the background. You do not need to listen for anything. You do not need to interpret anything. Sound is just sound, passing through, leaving nothing behind. Let the softening travel down through your neck now. the back of the neck where so much tension gathers, the cords and muscles that hold the head up all day long. They have been working so hard. They can rest now. Your head is heavy and supported. The neck does not need to hold anything. Let it be long and loose and soft. Every breath out, a little more release there. A little more ease. The throat. Sometimes the overthinking mind makes the throat feel tight, as if there are words unsaid, things unresolved. Let the throat soften now. Let it be open and easy. Nothing needs to be said tonight. Everything can wait. The throat can simply rest. Oh, may and now your shoulders. Take a slow breath in, and as you breathe out, let the shoulders drop. Let them fall away from your ears. Let them sink toward the surface beneath you. You may not have realized how much you were holding them up. We all do it. We carry so much in the shoulders. Let them be heavy now. Let them sink. And sink a little more. The softening moves down through your upper arms. The biceps, the triceps, all those long muscles that reach and carry and hold. They are not holding anything right now. Let them be soft. Let them feel heavy against the surface beneath them. Down through the elbows. A joint that rarely gets a moment of attention. Let the elbows be easy. Unlocked, unclenched, soft. Down through the forearms. All the way to the wrists. The wrists loose and open. And into the hands. The hands that have been doing and holding and reaching all day long. Let the fingers uncurl slightly. Let the palms be open or gently closed. Let the hands be completely still. Heavy. Warm, and when warm is head dead and at rest. Feel the weight of your arms now. From the shoulder all the way down to the fingertips. Heavy and warm and still. As if they are sinking gently into whatever surface is beneath them. And with each breath out, they sink just a little more. Just a little deeper into rest. Now bring your awareness to your chest. The chest rises and falls with each breath. Let it be soft. Let the chest expand easily on the in-breath and release completely on the out-breath. No bracing. The chest open and easy. The heart beating quietly inside, steady and sure. You do not have to do anything for your heart. It has been beating your whole life, faithful and constant, asking nothing of you. Let it beat. Let the chest be soft around it. Down through the rib cage, the sides of the body, the space between the ribs expanding gently with each breath. Let the whole rib cage feel loose and open, like a cage whose door has been left wide. And into the belly now. This is somewhere the thinking mind often lives. The tightness, but not the low-level hum of worry that sits just below the surface. Breathe into the belly now. Let it rise gently on the in-breath and fall completely on the out-breath. Rise and fall. With each breath, the belly softens a little more. The knot, if there is one, begins to loosen. Not forced. Not pulled apart. Just gently, quietly dissolving. With each breath out, a little more ease there. The lower back. Let it release into the surface beneath you. You do not have to hold the lower back in any particular way. Let it be heavy. Let it rest. The hips, wide and heavy and still. The hips carry so much weight through the day. Let them sink now. Let the whole weight of the lower body be given over completely to the surface beneath you. You are not holding yourself up anywhere. You are simply resting, completely held. The softening moves down through the tops of the thighs, the long muscles of the legs that carry you through every day. They are not carrying anything right now. Let them be heavy. Let them be warm. Down through the knees. The knees unlocked, the joints soft. Let the legs be completely still. Resting. Down through the calves. The muscles at the back of the lower leg releasing. The ankles. Loose. 4, 2. The feet. The soles of the feet, the arches, the heels resting against the surface. The toes uncurled, soft, still. Let the feet be completely at rest. They have carried you so far. Let them rest now. Take a moment to feel your whole body now, from the top of your head to the soles of your feet. Every part of you resting. Every part of you releasing. The body is at peace, and the mind is beginning to follow. You may still notice a thought or two drifting through. The thinking mind does not stop all at once. It slows the way a river slows as it approaches the sea. The current becomes gentler, the water wider and stiller, and soon the river simply becomes part of something vast and quiet. Let your thoughts be like that river tonight, still moving perhaps, but slower now, and slower still. I want to take you somewhere now, a place your mind can rest in, a place that needs nothing from you, a place that is only for this. Imagine that you are standing at the edge of a very quiet forest. It is evening. The light is low and golden, filtering through the trees in long, soft beams. The air is warm, not too warm, just the perfect temperature against your skin. The kind of warmth that makes you want to stay. There is a path ahead of you, soft with fallen leaves, leading gently into the trees. And you begin to walk. Slowly. There is no destination. There is nowhere you need to arrive. You are simply walking slowly into the quiet. The sounds around you are soft and even. The distant call of a bird somewhere deeper in the trees. The faint rustle of leaves above you, a gentle breath of wind moving through. Your own footsteps, quiet on the soft ground. Nothing sharp. Only the gentle sounds of a world at rest. You walk a little further, and the trees grow taller around you. The light becomes softer, dimmer, like the light just before sleep. Yes. Just soft. The trees rise up on either side of you, ancient and still, and you feel very small and very safe beneath them. As if the forest has been here for 1,000 years and it knows how to hold you. As if it has been waiting for you. Ahead, the path opens into a small clearing. You step into it and stop. In the center of the clearing, there is a pool. Still water, perfectly calm. The surface like glass, reflecting the last of the evening light and the first faint suggestion of stars beginning to appear above. You walk to the edge of the pool and sit down on the soft ground beside it. And you look into the water, and the water is still, completely still. This is what your mind is like beneath all the thinking, beneath all the turning over and the replaying and the reaching forward. Beneath all of it, there is this. Water, clear and deep and quiet. It has always been there. The thoughts move across the surface, the way wind moves across water. But the depth beneath remains undisturbed. Always undisturbed. Let yourself feel that depth now. That quiet that lives beneath the thinking. You do not have to reach for it. You do not have to earn it. It is already yours. It has always been yours. You are simply remembering it tonight. Sit beside that still pool for a moment. Feel the soft ground beneath you. The warmth of the evening air. The quiet all around. There is nothing to solve here. Nothing to understand. Nothing to figure out. Ooh. Only this. The still water. The soft light. Quiet. You might notice a thought arriving now. And that is fine. Watch what happens. The thought moves across the surface of the pool, like a leaf falling gently from a tree above, drifting across the water. It moves, and it passes, and the water is still again. Another thought might come, another leaf drifting, and it passes too. You do not have to catch the leaves. You do not have to understand them. You only have to watch them drift and let them go and notice that the water beneath is always, always still. The sky above the clearing is deepening now. The last of the golden light is fading softly into a deep and gentle blue. And the stars are appearing one by one. Not all at once, just quietly, one after another, finding their places in the sky above you. You lean back now onto the soft ground of the clearing. The earth beneath you is warm and soft and completely supportive. You look up at the sky, and you breathe. Each breath in, you draw in the quiet of this place, the stillness of the trees, the calm of the water, the deep peace of the evening sky. Each breath out, you release a little more of the day, a little more of the thinking, a little more of the weight. In, drawing in peace. Out, releasing weight. In, drawing in stillness. Out, releasing the need to understand. Ooh, out. Slow. Slow. Natural. The overthinking mind is very quiet now. Not gone, perhaps, but quiet. Like an animal that has finally found a safe place to lie down. You have been carrying it so gently tonight, and now it can rest too. All of you can rest. The stars above the clearing are very bright now. Countless of them. A whole sky full of quiet light. And you look up at them and you feel very small, very held, and very peaceful. Because the sky does not ask anything of you. The stars do not need you to understand them. They simply shine, and you simply rest beneath them. And that is enough. That is more than enough. The warmth of the ground beneath you is deepening. A gentle, spreading warmth moving through your back, your hips, your legs, as if the earth itself is welcoming you, as if the ground is saying, yes, you can put it down here. All of it. Every thought, every worry, every loop and spiral and unfinished sentence. You can lay it all down here. The earth is patient. The earth has been holding things for a very long time. It can hold this too. Let it. Your body is very heavy now. Heavy and warm and completely still. The weight of your head. The weight of your arms. The weight of your legs. All of it sinking. All of it releasing. Deeper and deeper. The sounds of the forest are very soft. A low, gentle hum of night. The quiet breathing of trees. The faint movement of water in the still pool nearby. These sounds are not asking you to listen. They are simply here, soft and even, like music that has no beginning and no end. Let them wash over you. Let them carry you. Rhea! You do not need to hold on to this place. You do not need to remember it. It will be here whenever you need it. And right now, you are going somewhere even deeper. Somewhere that has no name. Somewhere that needs no image, no story, no thought. You are going toward sleep. To sleep. Deep, restoring, quiet sleep. The sky above you is very dark and very soft. The stars are a little blurry at the edges now. The warmth of the ground is all around you. Your breath is slow. Oh, so slow. So easy. Your eyes, if they were open, are heavy. Your thoughts, if there were any, are far away. Drifting. Like leaves on still water. Like clouds across a quiet sky. And gone. There is nothing to hold on to now. Nothing to finish. Everything that needed to be thought has been thought. Everything that needed to be felt has been felt. And now there is only this. The warmth. The slow breath. The dark. Let your body sink a little further. Let your mind grow a little quieter. Let the space between your thoughts grow wider. Yeah, and wider. A little wider still. You are so close to sleep now. You can feel it. That gentle pull. That soft heaviness at the edges of everything. That beautiful dissolving. Let it happen. You only have to let go. The thinking mind is resting. It has done enough for today. It will be there in the morning, ready and clear. But tonight it is resting. Tonight it is quiet. Well, tonight you are quiet. Your breath. And easy. Your body. And warm. Or mine. And still. drifting now, softly drifting. You're at the deep. Let go gently. Oh, flee all the way. Go. Sleep now.